Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things. Welcome to Winter is Coming Wednesday, episode 12. I have a Thanksgiving card that I've got mostly put together, and I wanted to walk through a demo of the main focal area of it using a different DSP that I'm going to use to make a second card. This is absolutely stunning when finished. I used a pin that uses different DSP. It is from last Christmas, so it is a Christmas DSP. So I chose a Thanksgiving theme using the Season of Chic dies called Chic dies, as well as the Season of Chic DSP is my sample. And then I'm going to do a mock-up for you guys to see how the initial assembly works on the background using the DSP from Abigail Rose. So from the Chic dies, I am using these 4 leaves. Then what I liked about this particular card was the subtlety of the 5th element, which in the case of the pin is a Christmas tree. I turned it into this outline leaf. So I also have some different specialty papers to show you all as ideas for some different ways that you could implement your own version of this. And then from Painted Pheasant, I used the Happy Thanksgiving, because that is that and Gratitude from Painted Pheasant are what I am using on all of my Thanksgiving cards. All right, so I have to show it to you. It is not all the way put together because I wanted to show it to you in pieces. So this is the stunning, beautiful card. It uses early espresso, pumpkin pie, trying to find the name of it now, with all of these DSPs floating around. It is distressed gold. So all of the gold that I die cut the leaves is distressed gold. The 2 sides here, the strips of gold, are distressed gold. And then I used gold embossing, heat embossing. And if you have a hard time seeing this, the reason why it is hard to see is it actually was cut after I had already made the falling leaves embossing background. I then cut, I'll talk about this leaf cut out, what that's for, and then there is the label that I used. So this actually ran through the die cut machine for the embossing layer, and then 2 different times, because I first made the label and then I made the leaf for an effect that I will talk about. So don't forget to save your paper by using your mats to cut different pieces. And then the back of this actually is strips. So I only used thin strips, and I could have even used thinner strips. These are pretty wide for me to be the most economical with your materials. So what I loved about the card is the Christmas tree was just like this leaf. It was in the center, and I heat embossed twice. So first I did the panel build, attached everything, die cut out the leaf, wanted the leaf to be sticking up just a little bit, not enough, like more of a subtle hint to the Easter egg right in front of the recipient. So, you know, they could be really quick, they could see the card, oh, what a cute card, and miss the fact that this leaf, it has a special process done to it. I actually heat embossed clear twice. Then I also cut the early espresso to tone down. I did not want the orange to show through, and the orange was showing through, so it is popped up with an extra layer of leaf. just to give it a little bit more pop. And then I used the brass dots, and then this new trim, which I did leave out so I could give you its name. This is new in the holiday catalog, and it is called a satin edged ribbon. It is actually, as I always have to buy everything that is a neutral color so that I can color it, and I used the soft suede light to color this, and then I did a loose knot to give this knot a nice flat large look to it, a substantial look. So play around with your knots. You don't always have to do them tight is the tip for the day there. And then this is what the card looks like, and I want to do a second one, so I went ahead and pulled out another piece of distressed gold as well as some different materials for you to consider using. I actually chose for the second card, I have the pieces cut. I won't do the assembly because it really is quite a simple card after you get past the assembly of the strips. So this is one of the strip cards, which everyone knows I love to make. These strips are 1 inch by 3 inch. There's a pattern on both sides, so the idea is to use both sides as needed to get enough interest. So how I did the assembly, I am not sure if this is how the creator of the pin, so if you go to the pin and you read their instructions, I actually didn't look at the instructions. I was inspired just by the look of the pin itself. So I'm going to give you how I put it together, but their instructions could be different. So, that off to the side. I was going to use this soft suede with the Timber 3D, but I didn't like the coloring. I ended up swapping it out at the end for the early espresso. I do want to use the pumpkin pie. I already have my strips to use the distressed, but I did want to show you the other possibilities. There are many different specialty papers in both this year's annual catalog and the holiday catalog that would be appropriate. I picked the pumpkin pie again because the Abigail Rose already has this nice coordinating color tone on a few of its papers. And now I will bring out the piece, and I don't know, Libby and I both did these yesterday, and I did not ask her if this is how she assembled it, so she might have done something different. So I went ahead and took a 6x6. I cut my specialty papers in 4x4s and 6x6s, but lately I have just been doing 6x6s for ease of transport and consistency, and when I sell them after they're retired. But I do have a whole bunch of 4x6s. So the question I have to ask myself is, when you put it at an angle and you have to cut it straight up, is a 4x6 going to work? I suspect the issue will be on the right vertical side. Is this long enough? So I can already tell that it won't work. So you do need, for sure, to have a 6x6 piece of paper. So if I go ahead and put this finished panel back up, I take my 4x6 gold foil and I match it up to the point right here that you will lose when you cut it vertical. It has to be cut equidistant from the center at 2 3/4 wide to get the 1/8 pumpkin pie to show. The pumpkin pie is 3 inches vertical, 3 by 5.5. So for sure 4x6 will not work. You do need to have it 6x6. That was one of the tests I wanted to do for you all. I went ahead and pointed my pointy part down, and I built my herringbone. You will want to mix and match and decide what is the best aesthetic. I went with a really thin matte, you could go with, here's like a 1/8, but I always love very fine mattes. And so I'm moving that over to the side because I want to do kind of a light, dark, light, dark. So I want my second piece, again, this is Abigail Rose, so it is not the chic specialty DSP that was on my sample with the gold foil. So this doesn't have gold foil. I'm just off to the side here looking for that. Looks like a piece of that, so I don't want that. I'm doing some color matching. All right, so I probably will go ahead and do a light on that side. This is kind of matchy to that, so it might be that I'll want to switch it around. And since that's a pattern similar to that pattern, I'm going to do a flip. I'm going to move this one down, this one up. On your herringbone, if this is what the pattern is, it's what it looks like to me. You're going to do 3. So you need to make sure that, in my case, I might have not centered, but since I am starting the herringbone on the left pieces need to be the longest, and none of them needed to be any longer than 3 inches, as you can see, and the other side could be a little bit shorter. The other thing that I did on this one, just because when I did my pattern matching and configuring, I actually used 2 3-inch strips of the same pattern, and then this very top one was a remnant piece from these 2 3-inch strips. So this one, and this one started out as a 1x6 strip and were then cut down. All right, so what that tells me then is that this piece here is going to be just a little diamond because you're going to cut it off straight. So you're going to adhere these equidistant from each other. I did not glue heavy on the ends because I knew that I might take these corner pieces to make my extra leaves. So these 4 leaves were made from the 3 extra corners that you get after you trim off the sides. So I did that by gluing very lightly on the ends. So I only glued heavy in the centers here using a double-sided adhesive. A seal would be perfect. And then I trimmed it. I'm going to go ahead and just do a... You'll trim it straight up. I went ahead and made a little mark so that I could put the piece here with the tip centered. You could get all technical and do some measuring, but I went ahead and just did a little tick mark at the beginning and the end, and a little tick mark up here where I was going to cut across. And I cut the sides first, and then I lopped the top off, and then I had my base, which I then took and cut. I just figured out where I was going to cut. Now the pin has the Christmas tree is lower and the sentiment is round and it's at the center right up here. In my case, I knew that my sentiment was going to be horizontal, probably bottom right, because that's a favorite place. I don't like to center my sentiments as much as possible. I try to avoid that. And then this leaf then I cut up, but I did not measure, I just eyeballed it. I did it at an angle instead of straight up and down. The Christmas tree was done straight up and down, so you could make it, I wanted the feeling of fallen leaves to coordinate with the embossing folder here of fallen leaves, so I did not want to make this leaf centered vertical. But if you liked a really structured look, I think that making it straight up and down and doing something different with the leaves would also work. It just depends on what you're after style wise. And when I do the Abigail Rose look, you know, this has got a different color scheme. It doesn't have the foil, so I might do something totally different with the leaves and the center leaf. I'm not sure yet. And that is how you get started with the base. And then you already saw that you take the pumpkin pie, you center the V once it has all its papers on it. where you want it. It's already been trimmed down side to side. Then you place these two small pieces, which can be from the same strip or could be two different patterns, whatever you want. And then again, I used a remnant from one of these cutouts to make the little piece to go at the top. So it actually has quite a bit of a repeat to the color design that you may decide you don't want. That just depends on whatever you are after. And now I wanted to show you a little peek at some of the different specialty DSPs that are going on or are available this winter. The first I want to show you is, and I'm going to go ahead and take my Abigail Rose and lay them out just to see, to give you an idea. You could easily do glimmer. This season we have gold. This is a glimmer pack. Evening Evergreen. This really nice, very vanilla, and the gold. I was going to go ahead and show the gold just for fun. Let you see what you think. This could easily, I could see this being made. It's not that it was a ton of work. It is a large piece of the specialty DSP, having all of these strips be on top of it, which is something I tend to avoid. But for a few special cards for people, I am totally okay with blowing a piece. So this card pretty much used up, with a couple of leftover chunks, the entire 6x6. So if you were to do a special set of cards, you would get 2 pieces of this paper, so that would make you 8 cards. So budget wise, you can like do the math and just decide if everybody deserves that special Thanksgiving card, or if you're just going to make some just for special family or friends. So that's what it looks like on the gold. I brought out a returning favorite from last year's annual catalog that carried over, and that is the brushed gold. I'm gonna do it this way, and we'll see what this looks like. Oops. I was feeling behind on my Thanksgiving cards, which is why you all of a sudden see all these Thanksgiving cards being done. And now I feel I've made some good progress. I have decided, when I bought my holiday stamp sets, I made sure I got a Happy New Year that came in with one of the new Brightest Glow and Brightest Lights sets. There's 2 bundles, and I bought them both. So they will be that sentiment will be used for my New Year cards, and so it'll be the first time I've ever made New Year cards. So this is what the striped metallic looks like. I already unpackaged. If you want to go with some of the other, this is an ombre 2022 in colors specialty paper. I really love the lime green. That would just be more for a Christmas card. So then you have a green and a red. This particular paper pack I would not be considering for Thanksgiving, but definitely for Christmas I could see something really fun made with this. I consider this a wow card, you know, a fancy card to give to somebody who you know will appreciate cards. And there's one more. Here it is. This says 2021 annual catalog. I did not look to see if, oh, it is slightly different colors than the other. So I'm gonna look really quick to make sure that this is still current. You could play with vellum. There's craft, so you could see if craft, which would be a more casual look than the gold. And the craft did carry over. I use it all the time for coloring projects. So here is craft. So that would just give it, in fact, with the Abigail Rose, it might look very nice for a completely different look, like a matte finish rather than a gold fancy finish. And it does curl up. I have noticed that about it, but I do really like it. You could even do a stamped pattern with early espresso ink. I might have to do this with the Abigail Rose now that I see it, because that might make a really fun matte finish toned down card rather than a fancy wow card. And then the last here is this Ombre Specialty DSP that I am going to check and see if it's current before I share it with you. It is just like the new in color paper, only with some different colors. Alright, I found out that what I didn't show you is indeed last year's and is retired. In the holiday catalog, we have these festive foils that are part of the Lights That Glow suite. If you wanted to go with some fun, more neutral, soft colors, there is also Splendid Day DSP that is a very fun, very pretty foil that does have some patterns just like this festive foil has. And you would then put your DSP over the top of it, like this particular piece though has this sweet little bee that would not be seen. I could still see this shiny foil surface with the white patterns peeking through. Oops, I'm going to do it this way. I'm actually seeing this as a potential New Year's possibility. So, again, craft would give you a more neutral look. There's the golds. We have now the in-color glimmers, the gold, silver, and evening evergreen glimmers for Christmas, and then this beautiful Splendid Day specialty DSP that I see a pink. Here's the pink, copper, kind of a really soft seafoam green with white, and then the silver. So hopefully that gets your ideas going for the different ways you can utilize this style of strip panel with what I call the hidden Easter egg element right in front of you, putting a seasonal die cut right in the middle. It probably would be best to have it be a silhouette without any of the holes in it, which is why I picked that particular leaf. And that is all I've got for today, episode 12. I'll be back next week for more fun content. I've actually been trying to load up with content. Next week we are actually going on like a vacation within our vacation. You know, we live in a fifth wheel full time, so we're pretty much in a perma vacation mode. But just for fun, we are heading down to the Keys for a week just to see what it's like. We did this 4 years ago. I guess it was later in the year, but it was still very hot. We went to Cedar Key, and this time we'll be going to Fiesta Key, which is a Thousand Trails park. So I've read that they have internet there, but just in case, I'll probably have next week's done ahead of time. I will take some photography of this particular finished one. I will not take the Abigail Rose one because I'm going to finish that. I'm just going to put it in a kit and get to the final assembly later. And I will probably put in a distressed gold and this craft because I like the idea of the opposite, a nice muted matte finish Thanksgiving with the craft. Sounds like a lot of fun. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave them here or over on my blog, over on my blog, I will have the full supplies list available. Don't forget, Celebration is happening. There are most of the items in the category, if you've seen them already, are sold out. They added a whole bunch more products that are actually current products, I believe, in the annual catalog for you to choose from for free. So be sure to check that out so that you can take advantage of the free. If you need any help with Celebration, you can feel free to email, text, or leave a comment on YouTube, and I would be happy to help you. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.